What the fuck is up, jabronis? I'm totally riding a very normal motorcycle that I've had the whole time, and you guys have definitely seen before. 100%, absolutely, just 100%. I'm not gaslighting anyone. What the fuck is up, y'all? So what the fuck am I on right now? What is this? This is my brand new 2023 Honda Navi. Now I say brand new, it's almost a week old. So I bought this bike actually less than a week, like 4 days ago. I filmed like 4 hours of footage just for me to realize that my GoPro decided it did not want to be a widescreen anymore. So yeah, pretty much all the footage was unusable. So all that first day action and experience, fucking gone. So on the second day, that's on the second day too. Gone, all of it, useless. I can't use it. So here is day, like, the fourth time I've ridden it, because the third time I just kind of put it around the neighborhood real quick. Actually, that's what we're doing right now. But Honda Navi, what the hell is a Honda Navi? The Honda Navi is Honda's cheapest street legal motorcycle for sale in the United States. I say street legal, it's actually the cheapest motorcycle they make in the United States. It's not only the cheapest one Honda makes, it's the cheapest one from any major auto manufacturer. There are a few options that are cheaper from some Chinese brands. Like I think there's like one Kemco scooter that's like $13.99 or something. But as far as a major auto manufacturer goes, this is the cheapest by a long way too. This is actually about half the price of a current Grom. So the Grom right now costs about $3,600. MSRP on this is $1,807. Now, how the fuck did Honda do that? Of all people, Honda. Well, I'm sure as you can tell, I haven't been shifting because there's no clutch here. It's a parking brake. Well, wait, this thing looks like a Grom. Why does it have a parking brake? Well, because basically what Honda did was cross the Grom between a Honda Activa scooter. So you have a Grom looking and feeling kind of thing, but it has a 110cc engine with a CVT. You start it up, you twist, you go, that's it. Now you may ask yourself, Cass, why did you buy a glorified scooter? Why the fuck not? It's fun as shit. This thing has been so much fun so far. I'm about to hit like 75 miles. You can see on that little analog odometer, analog odometer. I'm just about at 75 miles. And every mile has been incredibly fun. It's just so small and stupid because like when you're cruising it feels like you're riding a motorcycle. Like if you're ever in the Grom, it feels like that, especially with the way the bars are, the way the seat is. But because it's a CVT, you just hop on it, you just bounce it off the center stand and you just haul ass everywhere. It's just super fun. And again, it was $1,800 before tax. I paid like, you know, $25 after taxes and tags, and you know, the dealers always have like the destination. So I paid like, where I live, I paid like $2,500 like out the door, which is in the ballpark, whatever one it pays. It's not, you know, being quoted double MSRP. Yeah, I've never paid double MSRP for one of these. Just buy Grom at that point. So this was literally a bike that I bought because I fucking felt like it. Sheesh. We're gonna do a little bit of off-roading, because why the fuck not? Pretty much what I said when I bought the bike, but you know. So there were a few bikes I was looking at. I was looking at this. I was looking at the Kawasaki Z125, mainly because it performs like a Grom, because it's basically a Grom clone, but Kawasaki decides to charge you way less than Honda does. And I was also looking at the Honda XR150L, which is a dual sport. I say dual sport, it's basically a street legal trail bike. But I ended up deciding on this because even though I'm taking this off-road here, there's just not enough area to drive off-road to justify a dual sport, to be honest with you. And it was so much cheaper than the Cowie. And I was looking at the Cowie and I was like, well, if I want more performance, I'll just ride my Honda 300. So this is the new toy. This is the new project. The new fun haver. And here's the full shot of it. So this is the Honda Navi 110. It's a very, very similar size to a Grom. Actually a tiny bit longer, just a tiny bit. The seat height is, I think it's a ½ inch taller on this. I can't remember, to be honest with you, which one's taller, but either the Grom or the Navi is a ½ inch taller. The side plastics kind of mimic the new 5-speed Grom style, but the headlight turn signals kind of mimic the old Grom. Now, wheel and tire package is different from the Grom. You do have a 12 in the front, but with the tire profile, it's actually not as tall as the Grom's 12-inch wheel with tire. And in the back, you have a 10, so it is smaller in the back. And like I said, everything's back here. We have the CVT under this cover. Here's the airbox. Right up in here is the carburetor. You have single shock in the back. The whole engine transmission is the swing arm. Oversized muffler to keep the bike quiet because it's basically a scooter. Now there are some pretty cool features on this. So for the one, you know, you'll be like, hey, well, the engine transmission's back here, then what's up here? Now usually a scooter, it's open, you kick your leg through. Gas tank's down there. Well, gas tank's up here like a motorcycle. So down here, in the US at least, that's the wrong key, you have a unusually large storage cubby. And this is deceptive. I put lunch in here, I put camera equipment, all kinds of shit. It just swallows it all. It's brilliant. Now in a lot of markets, they actually don't come with this. It's just an option, and this is open, and it looks weird. And then if we open up this down here, pop, we got a little seat compartment, which I keep my ready. And then right down here, you do have your petcock, like I said, carbureted, choke, super simple dash, no dummy light when the bike's on, fuel gauge, speedometer, tachometer, high beams, turn signal. That's it, nothing else. Now you do have electric start. Starts to let it right up like that. Now, because it's a scooter, they actually still give you kickstart. So if we grab the brake, there we go. And now you can see rear wheel spinning because it is a CVT. Also, another thing to note for the US market, and I believe the Mexican market, we actually do get a normal kickstand with the center stand. Most markets do not get the kickstand, they only get the center stand. So a little extra thing we get. Now a couple other things to note, how they keep the cost down. The wheels are stamped steel, not aluminum. Very cheap. Drum brakes front and rear. Now I won't call them dangerous because this bike from the factory, top speed is 52. That's the most I've ever seen anyone get on one. Personally, me, 48 is the fastest I've seen. Now, the front and rear brakes are linked to the rear brake. So when you hit the rear brake, it activates both, but it does do mostly rear. But they're still linked. So that's actually something I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna unlink that. Now the front's only linked to the front. So when you pull this, it only does front. Now this right here is your parking brake. Pull that, boom. Now you're good. So if you're stopped on the hill, you don't have to worry about the bike rolling back on you. Give it a little pull, you're good. One thing I've noticed, there's actually no hazards on this bike, which is super weird. You know, we got our brights, turn signals, horn, kill switch, starter. No hazards. Yeah, you just pop it off the kickstand and go. That's it. And like everything else that's simple and old school in this bike, it is air cooled, but because it is kind of shrouded, there is a fan in there. So you don't really have to worry about if you just leave this thing idling, because there is a fan. The fan spins and keeps the engine cool. Now it is possible you could still overheat it if you live in a super hot environment. It's like, you know, 105 degrees outside or something, and you're leaving it idling. You could potentially still overheat it, but the chances are unlikely. I haven't heard of anyone having any overheating issues with these. because again, it's air cooled, but it has a fan on it at all times, so it stays pretty cool. Now, Honda says this bike will get 110 miles a gallon. That is bullshit. I've been noticing about 80, 85, and I've been doing mostly around town riding. Now, the fuel tank is a 0.9 gallon fuel tank. It is less than a gallon, so you can kind of do the math. This does not have a higher range, but it's also not very high speed. I think the range is acceptable for how fast the bike is and where you're going to use it. You do not have to run high octane fuel, but if you're going to let it sit for a bit, it's pretty recommended to use ethanol free if you can find that where you're at. There's a gas station around me that sells ethanol free, and it's 91 octane. So, you know, I'm getting a good octane fuel while getting ethanol free. It's not cheap though. Like regular gas around here right now is about $3.60 a gallon. That shit's like $5.50. Like, it's not cheap because ethanol free doesn't get all the government subsidies. But how little gas this bike uses, how few times I gotta fill up, I don't care. Now, if you guys have seen my other bikes, you all know that I do like to fuck with shit. I tend to not leave things as they come. So, yeah, I've already ordered about $300-ish in parts for this thing. Now, if I remember, I'll show you guys this right here. So this is a little plaque, if I inserted the picture, if I remember. It just gets rid of the reflectors. Now, in most markets, they just have the little plaque there. They don't have the bar with the reflectors. So you can either buy like the factory one, or this one's aftermarket. They sell it in a bunch of different colors. I actually wanted red, but the company doesn't make a red one. I was like, what the fuck? Why don't you make a red one? So I got it black, and I think it looks good. And no reflectors on the front. But I do also have the S23 tail tidy coming from Scooter Spot Shop. I have the S23 clutch and two different sets of springs that come with the clutch. 2500 RPM and a 1500 RPM spring, so that's kind of what RPM the spring engage. I got a new contra spring, and I got new rollers for the stock variator. A lot of people have suggested swapping out the stock variator, but for a lot of other people, I've seen them say, yeah, no, the stock one's perfectly fine, just replace the rollers, or put slides in, whatever you want to do. So I got the rollers that most people tend to go with. They have 12 gram rollers, and they're from NYC. NYC usually makes pretty decent rolls, from what I can tell. And then also got some new grips, because these grips are fucking awful. They're so cheap. I mean, like everything on this bike, it's worth the price. So we got some new fan grips, which no one should be surprised about. Now, eventually, I'll be getting the man-in-the-box intake. I'll be doing the S23 exhaust and rejetting the carb, so we'll be getting a little bit more power out of it. And I'll also be swapping out the handlebars. I found a couple sets of Pro Taper bars and one set of Renthal bars that I like, so I'll make those decisions. We'll decide between them. You know, the cheapest set is like 70 bucks. The most expensive set's like 120. Because these bars, honestly, when I got this bike, they're not 100% true. This is ever so slightly angled more. Like, it's so slightly bent. Most people wouldn't be able to tell. You probably can't tell on camera, but I can fucking tell. I've ridden a lot of dirt bikes and a lot of bikes with high bars, and I know I can tell the fucking bars bent. I'm gonna sound crazy, but I can tell the bars bent. But I honestly, when I bought the bike, I knew the bars weren't gonna stay. I knew I was gonna replace them. Yeah, then I will be doing the DC conversion to this, because like a lot of scooters, this bike runs off AC, or alternating current. Now, what alternating current does in a motorized vehicle is it means that the headlight brightness is determined by how fast the engine is spinning. So when the engine's at idle, like when there's at a red light, or a stop sign, or just turning the bike on, the headlight is super, super dim. Now, once you're actually rolling, you got the engine spinning up, then the headlight's nice and bright. It's as bright as it should be. And there is a regulator in there, so it only is going to output so much voltage to the headlight. You know, if you put a new CDI box in and increase the RPM of the engine, you're not just going to explode the fucking headlight. We're running too many volts through it. So that's another thing to worry about. But yeah, it's not ideal, especially if you want to run LED lights, because LED lights work in a voltage threshold. What that means is that when this bike is at low RPM, the LED light doesn't work. When it's at high RPM, it works just fine. So, you know, you'd be setting a stop sign, no headlight take off, and your headlight clicks on. It's fucking stupid. Stupid. So we're going to do the DC conversion on this, which isn't very hard actually, and only takes about $10 in parts. Like, you can buy a kit for it that comes with like LED bulbs, and that kit will cost you like 40, 50, 60 bucks. Depends where you get it from, depends on the quality of the bulbs. But all you really need to convert it to DC is some wire and a plug. Yeah. And maybe some solder and some heat shrink, depends on how permanent you want to make it. I'm going to make it very permanent. So I'm going to be soldering and heat shrinking. And yeah, I mean, you can do that without doing the LED lights too, because then the bike will just be outputting, you know, direct current with the right voltage at all times, and you will be Gucci. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Forgot about this song. But then after I do that, there's actually this like really cool like projector with the DRL like headlight that I found on eBay that you can get from China. And I did find it in Alibaba, but it was only like $4 less. And I'm like, for $4, I'll take my chances on eBay. They're much more likely to give me my money if something fucks up. So that thing, it's like 60 bucks shipped. I'll end up getting that. And then I'll end up swapping out the whole turn signal housings, because they're pretty large for the size of the bike. They look goofy. Now, I know they're that big for regulation, but they look fucking goofy. They're actually the same ones that come on the CBR 300, funny enough. And the CBR 300 has smoke lenses, so if you just want to get CBR 300 lenses, you can just swap out the lenses and have smoke turn signals. Quite a few people have done this. First place I saw it was actually a Life of Birch on YouTube. You know, a fellow Maryland resident, just lives in a different part of Maryland. I did the same on one or both of his. I think like he has one and his girl has one or something. I don't know. And I'll definitely be giving like a longer term review. Like, I know I can give a quick review on it, but I think I'm still in my honeymoon period with this bike. And of course, it has actually almost 80 miles on it now. So, I mean, not enough time for anything to go wrong on the bike either, which from what I've seen will probably happen. But yeah, 1,800 bucks, what do you want? Yeah, I don't want to give like a quick, like, you know, initial ownership review. It doesn't feel right. You know, just like when I watch, you know, motorcycle journalists giving a review on a motorcycle that just came out. They've ridden it 20 miles. And they're like, oh, it's so good, and do this, and do that. But yeah, I'll do my best to give like a long-term review. Once I got, you know, break-in period done, I think that's going to be a good time. That's the Navi. So this week we finally got some content on the Suzuki. We finally got some content on the Navi. We got all three bikes. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Keep an eye out. If you follow me on Twitch, we'll probably be doing like the clutch upgrades and stuff live on Twitch, which should be fun. Hopefully I don't make an ass of myself. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your day.